Oh, sorry.
Oh, you met. I'm good.
It's okay.
What?
I'm gonna leave that in. I literally forgot we were recording. We're like,
But I think that's a good sign.
having this
That's
whole
a good sign of a
conversation.
good discussion.
It was a good
started off-
discussion.
Yeah. We're talking about LastPass, and the latest bit of information that we heard about this terrible
Series
I
of
can't say any
events.
swear words, but
That was John's fault.
mess that they got themselves into. And we get very angry with Mike in this because, well, John and I get very angry with Mike.
Yeah.
We just talk about how is it bad? Is it bad this way or that way? And why
Yeah,
is it why
that's
like
And why is
Yeah.
it so bad?
Yeah.
Tune in.
Here we are with another LastPass update. This story has been going on for months. Jesus.
Yeah, we keep finding out more, and it's worse every time.
Worse
I mean,
every
the last-
time? Is this worse?
Yeah. I mean, it makes the whole thing worse. Sorry.
I mean, it's
So
kind of
the story
explaining
is
the
that-
start of it.
Right.
So worse in the sense
Which
that it
we
should have
knew
been
was-
avoidable.
I mean, just so easily avoidable as well.
Okay. Let's hear it.
There was an engineer, and it was his password vault that got breached. And the reason it was breached is because he had a piece of software on his machine which had a vulnerability, which was exploited. And that's sort of okay on its own. We sort of knew that anyway. But the piece of software was called Plex, and Plex is a sort of media center software. It's like a local Netflix type thing where it indexes your media files and you can play them remotely, and you can give other people remote access to your machines. And it's usually used on like file servers and stuff like that, where the actual files are. And that's kind of like a weird thing to be having on a machine which you're also using that has like root access to LastPass.
So, well, let's break down a little bit more. Is that it's normal-ish for Plex users to have Plex clients, okay? You can access Plex from like the web, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure they also have an app.
Yeah.
There's even smart TVs that come with Plex.
Yeah.
But then to host a Plex server, you have to have media files. So let's say this person is a collector of media. Yeah, of TV shows.
Oh, perfectly legitimate, I'm sure.
Sure. They're hosting that on their device that they're using. It was a Windows machine. They're also port forwarding out into the web, meaning
How do you know
that
that?
means that I'll explain. So the way Plex works, the way this vulnerability / hack worked was that the attackers had to see the server, the Plex port being open, right? Otherwise, how would they have accessed it?
So you're not saying that to use Plex, you have to have these ports open, but we know that the ports were open because of the way the attack went.
Yeah, exactly. So
Got
it's we can assume that that's the case. So senior DevOps engineer is hosting Plex on what it's safe to assume is their personal Windows machine that they also use, because why would you have work stuff on your personal machine? So it's not just a Plex server, it's not just a dedicated file server, it's also their let's call it daily driver machine.
And this is a question
Not
I have for you,
only
John.
are they go ahead.
So if I can call you John, I don't know if the audience knows your career. Certainly, we're unaware of your whereabouts. We know very little about you personally. Is it safe to say that you are in a position to be concerned about the personal software someone might have installed on their work machines?
Yeah, like from my point of view as a professional,
Yeah,
100%.
So like as a user, I'm pissed that I have to use a work laptop and I can't have Slack on my personal laptop, on my personal computer.
Yeah.
Am I the idiot?
Deal with it. Yeah. It's a work machine.
So okay, there's a few things that are okay to occur on a personal machine, and that are not okay to occur on a personal machine. So let's say you have access to proprietary data, customer data, or code. Okay, or like production systems with code. Let's say you should not be able to access that from your personal machine.
But
you want to access email, you want to access Slack, not the end of the world.
What about password vaults with master password credentials in there?
So that's a big deal. You don't want to be able, because that ties into, what does that tie into? That ties into proprietary information. So of course the argument can then be made that email also ties into it. But if you've set up your environment properly, email should not be the catch-all for attackers. Email should only be, if they are able to, which they shouldn't be able to, if they're able to get into your email, then that's where it ends. It's not like they can then hop over to a password reset service.
I think you're failing to consider that it's more convenient for me to be able to access those things from my personal computer.
But all right. But okay. So back to I just want to wrap this up, Peter. I know I can see you're popping with things. I just want to break this down. So the senior DevOps engineer, personal device, hosting their own files, hosting their own media on a Plex server. They're also port forwarding out through their server, through their modem, into the wide web for other people to connect to this machine and look at their media through Plex. Okay, so far so good. The brutal flaw was that the same senior DevOps engineer, and the reason I keep saying this title is because these are the guys that maintain infrastructure
for the company, which is maintaining everybody else's passwords.
Infrastructure, yeah, exactly. Did not update Plex for 3 years. And in that 3 years, a vulnerability with a CVE risk score of 7.2, I'm going off memory, I think it was 7.2, which is fairly high, was released for the Plex server on Windows machines.
And
that allows attackers to potentially arbitrarily run code on the machine.
Not potentially. I think in actuality,
just straight up,
actually did. So one thing I maybe would point out is this didn't even actually have to be his development machine. He probably, possibly just had his own personal LastPass vault on that, connected with his browser on that as a user of LastPass. It just so happened that he was also an administrator of LastPass. So once they got the credential, they could have accessed the network separately, right? The issue wasn't that they used his computer to access the LastPass source code. It was that they got his password from his LastPass.
I don't think, if I recall correctly, they did not use his machine as the jumping off point for the source code. They used his machine for the jumping point of the vault, of the corporate LastPass shared vault with God knows how many secrets and shared accounts and service accounts. And yeah, Peter.
So how would that?
No, go on, Mike.
So if I use LastPass for home and for work, and I have LastPass installed on my home browser because I use it for my banking passwords, and I have it installed on my work computer because I use it for all my highly secure who's its and what's its. Is that are you would that have to be two separate accounts? No, you're misunderstanding,
Mike. Yeah, of course. So one LastPass account is for personal use. That's not the one we're talking about. This dude probably had his corporate LastPass account attached to maybe a browser extension on Chrome,
all right, got it,
or the Windows app. Anyway,
all right, that's the end of the episode. Thanks for watching.
So okay. No, you actually already covered the part that was really, really, really upsets me, which was
which one?
It was 3 years out of date. I mean, it's a stupid setup anyway, right? You shouldn't be sharing trust horizons between corporate stuff and your personal stuff. You shouldn't be running LastPass on a machine which has anything corporate on it at all. It's almost 100% so that he could watch his pirated videos, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. And the funny thing is,
that's what people
use.
The
funny thing is that I am if they're not doing any sort of like device attestation or like device verification where you basically say I will only access I am only allowed to access GitHub and corporate LastPass and their SSO from this one machine, yeah, then it's also safe to say wait, shit, I had it. It was so good. Wow, it just blinked.
So
it's also safe to say. Oh, wait, it's also safe to say that Plex is not blocked on the work machines.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he could actually watch his shit on the work machine. Because all you have to do is it's a URL. You could just go to the browser, go to Plex, whatever the fuck IP, and boom, you're in. Sure, you might have to do that weird route, but like, or even keep it local only. Like, there's so many reasons why you shouldn't have done this.
3 years.
And then also, if you're really gonna do this, like, dude, isolate your network. Don't have Plex on your Windows machine. Go buy a cheap server for $100. Like, it's not
so
hard.
I think I appreciate the detail that John's gone into here. I think it's important and interesting to understand why Plex itself is so terrible and the port forwarding is a really bad setup and whatever. But it's 3 years out of date.
Yeah,
like update your shit, man. Come on, you're a fucking senior DevOps engineer. Like,
I don't think
just
that's
update software.
I don't think that's actually the issue, because there's people don't update shit all the time, and maybe I have a reason why I don't want to update Plex. If there was some feature that I had that was deprecated or like whatever, the point I think is he shouldn't have had work stuff on his personal computer.
Okay, well, I don't. You know what? I think they're both points.
I think that argument.
But
your point is more correct.
Maybe more sharp.
No, because this is their whole job is to make sure that security updates are being automatically sent out after a testing period. Like, there's a whole way for the SRE/DevOps industry to do this effectively and with zero headache
of his work
computer. Falls under.
If I don't want to update my personal,
but even personal stuff, like, this is a shame on practice. It's not a shame on sharing work stuff between personal stuff.
No, I think
it's a shame on the fact that he's not using not even best practice.
No. I understand that you get security updates.
No. Mike, if you don't want to update something that's local only, that is fine. You can take that risk.
Even if it's open to the internet.
No.
If it doesn't,
definitely not.
If it doesn't have work stuff on it, if I'm not exposing anything that's the company's, then if I expose my computer, that's nobody's business but my own.
No, of course it is. Of course it is. That's negligent. That's negligent. It's negligent. It's negligent behavior. I'll explain.
What's the to do that? But it's like giving a loaded gun under your bed with a toddler in the house. It's like,
exactly.
You don't have a right to do
loaded
that.
to what?
I'll explain.
What's the bullet?
Mike, I will explain. That is negligent behavior, and you have a responsibility as an employee to make sure that your network is
that's
secure.
The entire point. I'm saying if it's my personal computer with no corporate stuff on it, I could have it set up on my front porch for everybody in the neighborhood to come and sit down and browse their porn. That's nobody's business.
Is that computer on the same network? Is that computer on the same network as your work computer?
Okay, so this is the issue then. The corporate device management policies, proper 2FA, proper security and access controls should ensure that if I have my laptop sitting here, my work laptop sitting here, nothing I do anywhere else in my house, if my bed, Wi-Fi connected bed, which I love and will never give up, is hacked.
Wrong how?
All right, okay, sorry, I'm going to say something.
Compromised. Go ahead.
No, excuse me, 1 second, right? Mike I think he's right. You have a
end of episode. Cue the dancing robot.
Wait. Let me finish, please, you arsehole. Oh God, you're such a dick. I know you edit this though. This is made.
I have a whole reel of
Peter. Let's hear the point.
Yes.
I listen to it while I cry at night in bed.
You have a right to open up your computer and make it as insecure as possible by not updating stuff for 3 years if you want. But if you're a senior DevOps engineer for a company which is responsible for managing other people's passwords, you're not someone I want to be working.
Sure, like, I'm a total idiot. Agreed. But don't flip that.
That's my point.
But it's not putting the company at risk.
Yes, it is.
No, but just by hiring you
literally
is putting the
is.
company at risk.
No.
By hiring someone
No, but
who
Peter,
doesn't
let's hear
care
it,
you're
John.
not
about
looking. You're
updating
not.
their own
You're not
software.
stepping far enough back. There is a risk here. There is a big risk. You
is it?
have a vulnerable machine. Okay.
Yes.
Everything
Oh,
is
yeah,
separated.
this is also
However, your work machine is on the same network as your vulnerable machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So
also
far, so good. So far, so good.
Incidentally, also true if I take my work machine to a coffee shop and connect to their internet.
100%. Yes, correct. That's very
Don't
true.
do that either.
Now, no, you shouldn't do that either unless you know how to protect yourself. That's bad practice.
Unless the
But we're not
company
talking about
knows
that.
how to
He doesn't
protect
know.
me.
We're not-
I don't
but
need
we're
to
not-
know
but
to
we're not talking
protect
about-
myself.
Your job is to protect you.
It's the same. But
Your
this is
role is to protect you.
so I suck at my job. That's not the same
Okay.
as
Yeah.
exposing the company information on my laptop.
But you are exposing the company.
Well, in this
information
case,
on
it
the laptop.
is.
When you
If
go to
it's my
sign
job to
in,
do that,
when you
sure.
go to sign in to some bullshit self-hosted solution,
Mhm.
now the
Yeah.
attacker knows the way in. They don't know
So-
the credentials being used, but they are sitting, waiting, monitoring. It's
So,
not
John-
about. It's literally not about the fact that you have a right. You
So-
have a responsibility as an employee of that company to protect your network,
John.
specifically because of your role. Go ahead.
So you say you let's just imagine you are
Sure.
a security engineer at a company
Okay.
that I work for. We
Okay.
have a policy that says, here's your corporate laptop. You're not allowed to install personal software on it. You send me this laptop. I have it sitting here on my desk next to my primary PC, my personal PC,
Sure.
which is infested with malware because I am a known
Yeah.
I am known to install every bullshit Chrome extension I can download from the App
Sure.
Store. I have 8
Okay.
different screenshot softwares
Okay.
for capturing. I have a
Mike
variety
is
of use
joking
cases.
about that, but he actually does have 3. Like he's got
Yeah,
at
not
least
8.
3, not including
Yeah,
the
go on.
built-in.
Get to the point.
So
Mike.
you've
Go on.
given me this laptop. You've
Yeah.
locked it down.
Yep.
What's the problem? I'm an idiot.
Okay.
My computer's infested
Sure.
with malware.
Sure.
You were hired in
that
the first
compromi-
place. You should
No.
have been your DevOps.
John was
that is the-
hired. John was hired. I'm an employee. I'm in marketing. I don't know shit about IT security.
Okay.
Well, that's
sure.
why IT security exists, is to protect the
You
network
are-
against
yes.
people like you.
You are
But this guy wasn't
escaping.
just in marketing. He
You're
was a senior
escaping the
DevOps.
argument. Exactly right,
No.
Peter. You are escaping the argument.
I'm saying it's two
the
separate
debate
things.
is not. No, it's not, because he was a senior DevOps engineer. It's not that he was a marketing guy. It wasn't he's a sales guy. It was
Yes.
not anything outside of
Yes.
he's a DevOps engineer. This is basic stuff.
Right.
End of story.
The company didn't have good policies for this. Separately from that,
That's his job to tell them. It's
Yeah,
his job to come
I
in. And not only is it
understand that.
his, it is an org-wide failure. It's
Yeah,
not
it's a
only his failure.
systemic issue.
It's entirely the company's fault as
but
well.
the failure
They-
is not having not updated Plex. The failure is not having protected your corporate network.
It's also
both.
It's also
But it's both. Both can
Yeah.
be true. Yeah. He failed.
As
and
an
they
employee,
failed.
all right, yeah, sure.
if you're a policeman, right, and you go home every day and you leave a loaded gun, like I don't know, with a sign on it on your front porch, with a
Yeah.
sign on it
Play with
saying
me.
"Don't shoot," like
Free candy.
yeah, play
Don't
with
touch me.
right? I don't want you as a policeman. I don't think you should be a policeman. That's not. I don't think you should be hired as a
Yeah,
policeman.
the reason Peter and I
This
are
is
being
what I'm
so
doing.
passionate about this is because this isn't like I have port forwards out in my network. I port forward out 51820 if I'm going off the right.
Somebody
if I
write that
remember
down.
correctly.
Capture that in the.
Well, I'll tell you what that
Yes.
is. That's a WireGuard. That's a WireGuard port. That's a default WireGuard port.
Okay.
I can VPN into my own network. This is on its own separate device.
At what IP
Yeah.
address?
And something cool about WireGuard is that it's about 4,000 lines of code. It's been audited like 30 times. Yeah. And there has never been a registered CVE with WireGuard. Since its inception, they have
a
never had a vulnerability. There's been vulnerabilities on like the Windows client, let's say, which is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the server client. We're not talking about the user client. when you do things like this, there is a certain amount of like, I don't know if the right word is finesse or a way. There's a way to do this appropriately. I have security cameras in my house. They can't see each other. Yeah, they can't see my computer. There are ways to do this correctly. And there are ways to do it incorrectly. The way this person did it was negligible. And it was embarrassing.
So bad.
Negligent. Yeah.
Whatever, third language.
Just helping you out.
Right.
I wasn't
okay.
mocking you like
We've
we
got
would do to
wrap
Peter.
this up.
Peter deserves to be mocked. I was just helping you out.
Well, that's his first language.
Well, but not English.
We've got to wrap this up.
Like
If
whatever
anybody's
they
still
speak.
watching, by the way, please join Discord because
That's right.
it's a really good place to
Were we
take yourself
recording
out.
this whole
Um,
thing? What's going on?
What year is it?
That is so funny. Oh my god. Is this our show?
Yeah.
What the fuck? All right.
Yeah,
Well, anyway.
That was a good
All
debate.
right, let's wrap it up, guys. But nobody's here anymore anyway. So yeah, subscribe and like. It's a good time. Whatever.